I was teaching earlier about God has assigned me with the responsibility of removing from Hamite people the one myopic worldview that Africa and slavery is the center of anything that they know. I mean, even if you're talking about Jesus, they want to make Jesus black. You know, when Elijah Muhammad began to teach the Islamic faith, he called it black Muslims. The worldview of the Hamite people is seriously in deep trouble. And I gave the example that, because black people are always talking about slavery, always talking about the white man, and it's a sickening worldview. But they can't help themselves. They are unable to get elevated, educated. Let me show you what I mean by that. The Jews were slaves too, before black people were. They were slaves for 400 years, 150 years longer than black people in Egypt. But when the last time you heard a Jew railing against Egypt or the Egyptians or against Pharaoh? They have another worldview. That's not the composite. Listen, even if a black man, he's a Hamite, like Cornel West, gets a PhD, or they still do not get elevated. Their worldview does not change. They're still very much juvenile, if not kindergarten, in their auspices. And my job is to deal with that, but they get very angry. They want everything to be about black. They want everything to be about blaming the white man. They want everything to be about slavery was wrong. They want everything. I mean, they want Jesus in on the argument. So they went for this fella Obama as a black president who wasn't black. But I would want to ask them, show me one thing. Since your worldview was all black, all slavery, we got a first black president, that was going to be the end of it. Show me one thing that Obama did. Let one black person stand up and point to one positive thing that Obama did. And I'll go get Charlemagne the God, and I'll point out that, hey, it ain't what you think it is. But Obama is now living in an $8 million house up in Martha's Vineyard. That boy done moved so far away from the hood, you have to have a passport to get on the Martha's Vineyard. $8 million. I'm trying to think, okay, all right, I know Obama wasn't necessarily, he wasn't what he was cropped up to be. But I never thought he would want to get that far away from black people. I just never saw Obama as the Martha's Vineyard living type. Okay, vacation, go up there, play some golf, go to the Salty Dog, go to the nightlife in the summertime and the bustling and everybody dressed in white, that kind of thing, be up there with Martha Stewart. But, after the vacation is over with, but look at Obama. Look at him. He and Michelle living. I just never saw them like that. That took me by surprise. I thought that Obama would, maybe take a penthouse in New York City, not necessarily in Harlem, but in New York, a penthouse in Chicago, something like that. Martha's Vineyard? $8 million. I just never saw that in him. And I think I see everything. This one took Pastor Manning for a loop. This one flipped me. I didn't think I didn't think I didn't think that was his world. I didn't think he saw himself as so elite. Do you know how elitish? I mean, you got to be of the ritzy rich, You got to be speaking the King's English. You got to be true blood. Your parents have got to have come over on the Mayflower for you to have a desire to live in that part of the world. But there he is. That should be an insult to every. But the thing I think is critical here and is continuous and contiguous is that all black people, when they make it, they move at the hood. They move as far away as they can move. They get out of town. They get out the hood. All of them. Even the preachers who ain't got much. Even the preachers don't want to live in the hood. They go to the white neighborhoods. I just never saw that in Obama. Did you see that? Look at that house. Did you see that in Obama? I mean, did he act like that's what he was up? When he was hanging out with Jay-Z and, running around there with Al Sharpton? I have to tell you, this one got me. I was floored. I was flabbergasted. I just didn't think he had that in him. I would think he'd be too ashamed, to put himself in such an elitist category, being a representative of black people. That's living like a king, and they're still killing people in the hood. By the way, I have a question. Whatever happened to Jeremiah Wright? And why did Jeremiah Wright have to leave his church that he had founded, grew it to 8,000 members, but once Obama ran for president and won, Jeremiah Wright, because Obama was a member of that church, Jeremiah Wright had to resign from a church that he started in his kitchen, grew it to 8,000 members. But they gave him a $10 million check and a new Mercedes-Benz and told him, you can't come back in the church no more. Why was that? Was it something that Obama knew? Was it something that he knew? Was it something that they did? I did a little bit of investigation, and I said 10 years ago, I was going out to Chicago to find out what the deal is. But where is Jeremiah Wright today? I mean, the man started an 8,000 member church and they won't even let him come back in there no more. They gave him $10 million. They won't let him come back in there. One other question. Where's Jesse Jackson Jr.? Jesse Jackson Jr. was a congressman from Chicago. Is that right? Jesse Jackson Jr., that boy was taking money and Rolex watches and all kinds of stuff. And his father was a big time, Jesse Jackson Rainbow Push Coalition. But like Fred Price's son, these two young men had the world on stage, and now they're in the you don't even hear from them anymore, and they'll never rise again. But Obama Obama, I just never saw that in him. I never thought he would act. I never thought he'd show it. I thought he'd be too ashamed to be living high on the hog like that. Well, it just goes to show. Anyway, everybody, I'm James David Manning. I live in Harlem on 123rd Street, in case you're interested. Stop by the church and drop off an offering. All right, Mr. Engineer, take me out of this before I get in trouble.